Hi, I'm Andrzej Shebela, and I would like to show you my solution for PowerShell content management in Active Directory environments. This solution is hosted on my GitHub page, so you can use this URL. And this repository contains all necessary information and instruction how to set the solution up in your own Active Directory environment. So, what the solution offers? Unified PowerShell environment across all Active Directory. This means same PowerShell functions, modules, and variables on all clients, or just a subset of them. This applies to local and remote session too. Also, you don't have to worry about if some PowerShell module is on some kind of server, because you know it is there and you know the version of it. Also, you can define some variable, for example, SMTP server, which will contain your current SMTP server in your Active Directory, and use this variable in every script or function everywhere in your environment. And in case the server will be migrated to another one, you just modify this variable, and all functions and scripts will continue working without any notice. So this greatly simplifies admin's day-to-day work. Centralized management of all scripting content with focus on PowerShell. What this means? This means that all your scripting content, so PowerShell scripts, modules, but also bat files, ini files, etc., will be in one place in your Git repository. So the whole management will be a lot easier. So, for example, auditing of changes will be a piece of cake because of Git. So you will be able to show who made the change, when, and why. Another benefit of having all content in one place is the ability to warn about changes that can broke something. For example, if you have some function, and this function is used in other scripts in this repository, and you modify this function, so you add some new parameter or remove some old one, this repository will automatically warn you about this change and show you the scripts where the function is used. So there is less possibility that you will break something. Last but not least advantage is that you don't have to define the same functions and variables multiple times because of this unified environment. You have to do it just once and reuse this function in all scripts and modules as you like. The solution is also fully automated, so scripts validation is automated. So when you make some changes in your scripts and modules, the module content is validated so it's checked if there are some syntax errors or some other problems in encoding of the file, etc. PowerShell modules Git generation is also fully automated, as I will show you later in the examples. Content distribution, updates, and deletion. So the whole life cycle of the content is automated. And of course, code signing, if you wish to use it, you just have to uncomment one line and give it path to your certificate, which will be used to signing the PowerShell scripts. The solution is optimized for needs of common Windows administrators, because I am the one too. So it's easy to use, and it's fully customizable. It's written in PowerShell completely, so you can customize it for your needs as you wish. It's free to use, and no paid tools are needed. So what tools are used for its solution to work? Git as a repository, so primary storage for all the content. Git hooks for automation, so pre-commit, post-commit, post-merge hooks. PowerShell for defining logic, checks, distribution of the content. Visual Studio Code, VSC, as a scripting editor and graphical interface for Git. And the one GPO that joins the clients to the solution, so they synchronize changes from repository to themselves. So, how distribution of the content works? As I said, you need some Git repository. I will refer to that as a cloud Git repository. It can be GitHub private repository or Azure DevOps repository, or your locally hosted Git repository. It doesn't matter. As I said, it will be the main source of all content. Then you have locally cloned Git repository. This is a local copy of the cloud Git repository, which will be located on your admin's workstations, and from there you will make commits, changes to repository data. Thanks to Git hooks, these commits will be automatically pushed to cloud Git repository. From cloud Git repository, the content is downloaded or pulled regularly to MGM server. MGM server is just a common Windows machine, which is intended for processing the repository data and distributing the processed data to DFS share. It can be also common share, but the DFS share has a lot of advantages, so I prefer that. Processing the data also means, but maybe mainly means generating PowerShell modules from scripts, as I will show you later. Okay, so you have the part of the repository data on a DFS share, which is read-only source of repository data to your clients. And clients then download this data from this share locally, thanks to schedule task, which is created by the GPO, as I mentioned earlier. Before I show some examples, I will introduce my testing environment. So I have created some domain local Active Directory domain, which contains three computers: admin PC1, admin PC2, and MGM server, which is also a domain controller, but it doesn't matter. I've created Git repository in Azure DevOps on this URL. This repository is filled from admin PCs. Then the content is automatically downloaded to MGM server, which processes it and distribute it to DFS share, this path. And from there, the clients, so in this case, all computers in my domain, download the content to themselves. Okay. Now I will show you VSC editor and the repository content. More about the repository and its purpose can be found on this URL, and of course on my GitHub repository page. Okay, so I'm on my admin PC1. As you can see, I have opened the folder with my cloud Git repository data in this editor. Here is the folder. As you can see, there are a lot of folders and files here, but don't worry, all of them has some meaning, and we will see it later. This exactly will look like your own repository after you finish my initial configuration tutorial on my GitHub repository page. So back to VSC. The first icon here is Explorer, which can be used to browse the content of your repository or folder you have opened in this editor. Then you have this search option, which can be used to global search across content of all files in the opened folder. Then source control, which is a graphical interface for Git. So here we will make commits run, which can be used for debugging, or just run the script files. Extensions, where you can see that I have some installed already. This is because I have this extension JSON file in this repository, which leads to automatically installation of these extensions to Visual Studio Code. But you can also search and install another one. GitLens is one of the extensions and can be used for discover and search of the Git repository content and its history mainly. So I can open the master branch and look at different kind of commits that some users made in this repository and see exactly what changed in that commit and what was the text of the commit, as you can see here. Another extension is to-dos, which is great because it shows you different kind of comments. I set this up for showing fix me and to-dos comments. So when I create some okay, some to-dos. And save it. As you can see, this extension show me this test file and to-do which I have defined here. The second type of comment it will show me is fix me. Which, as you can see, use different colors. Save it. It will show me here, and it uses also different icon. So this extension is good for some kind of overview of stuff you have to do or fix. Okay, so that was some basic overview of function of VSC editor. And now about the PowerShell repository content. So there are several folders. The first one, Git hooks, contain some PowerShell scripts and scripts that run them, and this whole is used for automation. So in case I create some new change and commit it in my VSC editor, the pre-commit Git hook automatically starts and starts the pre-commit PowerShell script. So this pre-commit file, script file, automatically run this PowerShell script, which you can see is quite long and contains different kind of checks, as can be seen here. If these checks are passed, the commit will continue, and after successful creation of commit, post-commit hook will be run, so it automatically push the commit to Cloud Git repository. So this whole folder contains hooks, and they are used for automation. VS Code folder contains some settings for VSC editor. So you can modify VSC behavior for all your others repository administrators. So for example, that scripts will be automatically formatted, and the PowerShell will be default language, and when you create a new file in this editor, new lines will be trimmed, etc., etc. You can change it for your needs as you wish. And here you can see to-do settings for this extension. So you can change the colors and icons, etc. Custom folder contains folders which will be copied to different places in your environment according to settings in this custom config script file. I will talk about it later. Modules, content of this folder, so PowerShell modules, will be copied to every client in your environment. So these modules will be globally available. Again, you can change this behavior by configuring this modules config file. Scripts to module contains folders, which again contains PS1 files, which contains same named functions. From this PS1 files, the content of them will be grouped, and from this content will be automatically generated a PowerShell module with the name of the folder where these files are stored. So from these three scripts will be generated module admin functions, which will be placed again locally to all clients in your environment. Scripts to root contain some files which will be copied automatically to root of your DFS share repository. So, as I said, I have this DFS repository, and as you can see, the files from scripts to root are located in root of this repository. The first one is global profile, PowerShell profile, which can be used to unify experience for repository administrators. The second one is script which is run on clients and download the content of this repository to the client itself, themselves. As you can see, DFS repository don't contain the same data as my locally cloned repository, but just the client part. These other files are just README, which contains some initial configuration for this repository to set up GitHub automation, etc. Gitignore, just gitignore file which contains files and folders which should be ignored, so Git won't see them and won't show them in your VSC Git extension. PowerShell JSON contains PowerShell snippets. So different kind of snippets which can be used for simplifying of writing of the new scripts. Best script analyzer settings are used for PowerScript analyzer module. So you can define here that all your scripts need to support PowerShell 3 or PowerShell 5 or whatever you choose. And test is just my test I created earlier. Okay, so now we can start with some practical examples how to use this repository and what it is capable of. I will start with scripts to module section. So this one. We will start with creation of some new PowerShell function. Okay, so I have these examples which I'll use. So I have this function get logged users. I will place it in scripts folder. So in the end, these two functions will be placed to scripts module and copied to clients in my environment. Okay, so this function get logged user, it's some dummy function which contains some to do, some fix me. And it just invoke this command on a given computer. This command output actually logged users from this computer. Okay, so I will switch to source control section. This test I will discard because just test. So delete the file. As you can see, I have this section changes where I can see all changes I made from the last commit. So I created this whole new file function. So I will commit it. It's easy as click on this plus sign to stage changes and create some commit name. Okay, so I will create this name of this commit, and clicking on this sign, I will finish the commit. As you can see, the repository will warn me about this fix me I have here. It's some safety precaution in case you are writing some code and you know that you have to fix something because before you commit it. You can place the fix me there, and this repository will automatically warn you about it. But now I know that it's safe to commit this file, so I will click yes. And the commit was done. Okay, so what does it mean? Can I use it now, the function? No, it doesn't seem like it. When I look on my MGM server, here I have here I have this schedule task repo sync, which run this script, so this one, and the script is intended for downloading the cloud repository data here, and processing and compiling to DFS share. Okay, so I will trigger this, I will start this schedule task. So now the new content should be downloaded. Okay. The content is downloaded to this path, and as I can see, the new function is here. And then when I look to module sections, I can see that here are the automatically generated modules scripts and admin functions. If I look to scripts, I will see that there is this module which contains these two functions, and export them explicitly, because it is much quicker than use wildcard. Okay, so this module scripts will then be compiled to DFS repository, from which the clients will download it to themselves. So I will return to my admin PC1 and look at schedule task. Here I can see that I have this PSN setup schedule task, which is intended to run same named PowerShell. No, sorry, open it like this, which is intended to run same named PowerShell script from DFS repository. It is in the root of the repository as we seen before. And this schedule task is created by GPO, by this GPO, which is the one that connects the clients to this solution because of the creation of the schedule task. Okay, so when I start this schedule task on this admin PC1 client, it will download the scripts and the admin functions modules to common location, to this location. So here I can see admin function, and here I can see scripts module. So now I can import the scripts module and can use my newly created function, which will output the users that are connected to this computer, which is me. So this was the principle how the distribution works. Of course, this distribution is automated because the schedule tasks are run regularly. So DFS share is updated every 30 minutes, and the clients then DFS share is updated every 15 minutes and clients every 30 minutes. But you can, of course, modify this as you wish. I have also this function refresh console, which run the schedule task on the MGM server, which updates the DFS share, and also run the PS and setup schedule task on this client, and then import the new stuff to this running console. So I can just run it, and everything I made manually before will be created, will be run automatically in the background, and also I don't have to run import module command, so to import new module content. Okay, so that was the first example. Okay, so we updated successfully or synchronized successfully the new content from repository to this client. But what about the others client in our Active Directory domain? We can, of course, wait approximately 30 minutes before they download the new content automatically by themselves, or we can use this command to update them one by one, or just the needed one. So in my case, I can update the content on admin PC 2 remotely, or run the command on that computer itself. The advantage of running the computer, that command on the PC is that it automatically import the new content to console where it was run. So I will switch to admin PC 2. And run the command, or okay, I will check that I'm not able to use the function I created earlier here. So I will update this computer. As you can see, in the title of the console, it was changed now, but there was the number 1. It shows how behind I am after content in the repository, how many commits I'm behind. So 1 is 1 commit behind, and etc. Okay, so now new content was synchronized here. So try the function again, and you can see at the tab completion is working. So the function is here. Okay, so I'll run it and see if that run okay, and here we are. So this easy is to create new function and distribute it to all computers in your domain. Just create a function, commit it, and everything else will be fully automated. Of course, we can force the refresh by calling refresh console command on our own. Okay, so what about modification of this function? How hard is that? Let's say we want this function to output to output name of the computer where it is run, and then the logged on users. And the second change will be that type of parameter won't be string anymore, but array of strings. So you can call it on several computers at once. Okay, so I made these two changes. So here I will see it as a change, and I can clearly see what changed with this green color. Okay, so okay, so I make a new commit. And commit this change. Okay, it's again for me about the fix me command, so I know that it's okay. Okay, so when I call the function, it's the old one. So what I do, I will refresh this computer's data and import them to this console again. And now when I call the function, as you can see, name of this PC is also output. So this easy was to distribute modification of this function. Again, if I want this new function to propagate to any computer, I will call a refresh console command on that computer or remotely. Okay, so if I want the refresh remotely, I will call it like this. Of course, in this scenario, the console, already running console on that computer won't be updated. But if you run new console, it will contain the new functions, etc. This one I showed at the beginning. How the scripts are transformed to modules, and the modules is then compiled to DFS and to clients. Okay, now we can try to delete the function and then restore the deleted function. So when the function won't be used anymore, I can just delete the file that contains it, and I will see it in changes as D as deleted. So I'll commit this change. You can just click this icon or use shortcut Control and Enter. Again, I will refresh this console or this whole computer and try to run the command again. As you can see, the command isn't here anymore. I can check it also in this module scripts, which now contain just the send email function. So the module was regenerated again. And now, if I want to renew this function, or restore, I mean restore this function, which is now deleted completely, I can just switch to this GitLens extension. There are several ways, but I will use this one. And look for the commit which deleted the function, which is the last one. And I can just copy the content and create a new file. And again, save it as a script file. And commit. Yes, yes. Again, I can refresh this environment. And the function should be there in a minute. And it's there, as you can see. Okay, so that was about this scripts to module section, which is intended for scripts that contain function, which then be converted to modules. Okay, the second example would be about modules section. Modules section, as we can see here, and when I switch to my locally cloned repository, it's this folder, modules. It contains, its purpose is for distribution of third-party PowerShell modules. So you can download any modules you want and copy it here and then distribute it to your clients. But there is one special module called variables, this one, which I will show you its content. This module is default in this repository and contains variables that will be globally available on all clients where this module will be downloaded. It contains two default variables: RepoSync server, which has to contain name of the NGM server, and this variable is then used in this refresh console, as you can see here. The second default variable is a computer with profile, which should contain computers of your other repository administrators, and to these computers the admin functions modules will be copied, which contains again this refresh console function. so as a global PowerShell profile, which I will be talking later. But you can, of course, place here any other variables which you can, you want to use in your scripts or modules across your environment. So great thing about it is that you have one place to store your commonly used variables, and in case you need to change them, you change them only in this one place. So now we create new global variable and use it in a function. Okay, so I will create a new variable called terminal server, and it will be this admin tool, which doesn't make sense, but as an example it will be okay. And use this variable in my earlier created function getLoggedUser. I will place it here, so when you call this function, it will default try to get logged users from this terminal server. Okay, so I will save these both changes. So I can see them here. I'll both add to staging area by the plus sign and commit this change. We can now see a new warning message. This is one of the idiot-proof precautions which warn you about modifying this variable which is used in this script file. We know that it's okay, so I will continue with the commit by clicking on the yes. Okay, so the commit is successfully created. So now we again refresh this computer's data. And try to call the function again without specifying computer name. And as you can see, it was called on the second PC, the terminal server, as we named it. So, so the new variable was used, and was used also in this function. As you can see, the variable is also included, imported to this console, so you can use it in future calls of functions, etc. If we modify the function, the variable, we again get the warning about that variable is used somewhere. So if I change it to something like this and commit the change, I will get this warning that it is used here, and if it's okay to continue the commit. I think that's no, it's not okay, because this server isn't existing in my environment, so I made a mistake, and I will click know to cancel the commit. Yeah, okay. Anyway, you can open git log console, and you can check what was done in background by the git hooks which I run. Oh, that's some information for you. Okay. There is one warning because, as you already know, I think in a PowerShell module, in PowerShell, functions from modules are imported automatically, so you don't have to explicitly import module scripts to get functions from it available in your console. This doesn't apply for variables from modules. So if you want to use variables from these variables in PowerShell module, you have to explicitly import it in your script. So don't forget about it. Okay, so that was this special variables module. And now, what about possibility that I want to distribute some new third-party PowerShell module? It's easy as copy this PowerShell module to folder modules. Yeah, I will discard this change by the minus sign. Okay, so now I have these changes. So these all changes are because of the new module which I copied to modules directory. So I will stage all these files. And commit this change. Yeah, there are some warnings about wrong encoding of some of the files. In case of third-party modules, ignore this warning and click on yes. Because in another way, if you change encoding, it could break some things like signing, etc. So for third parties modules, just ignore the encoding warnings. Okay. So again, I will look at available PowerShell modules on this computer. So I will show you that PowerShell access module isn't listed. Now we refresh this computer's data. We can check the module folder. As you can see, PowerShell access control module is just copied here. Okay, now we list available modules again, and we can clearly see that PowerShell access control of version 3 is now available here. Okay, what about replacing this old version with the new one? So I will delete the old one, just copy here the version 4. Switch here, and again I can see that some changes were deleted, some files are changed. So I will again select all files of this module, stage them, and commit them. Again, I will refresh this computer's data. And check available modules. And now I should see, yeah, PowerShell access control is now in version 4 here. So the old one was deleted and replaced by the new one. There is option to limit where the modules will be distributed. So as you can see, in modules folder there is modules config file. When I open it, there are some information how to use this config file and some examples. As you can see, there is already one object that limit where the admin functions module, which is generated from custom scripts to module sections, will be distributed. And as you can see, it will be distributed to computers listed in computer with profile variable, which is variable from variables module, this one. Okay, so now if we want to limit where the module PowerShell access control will be distributed, all we have to do is create new PowerShell object in key folder name, which is mandatory. We will set the name of the PowerShell module, and in the computer name we will specify computers names where the module should be copied. So I will hardcode here the second admin PC, and I will save this change. Okay. And I will commit it. And what should happen now? Now we should see that this module, which is now copied also to admin PC1, will be deleted here and eventually copied to just to admin PC2. The second important thing, when we look at the repository modules, PowerShell access control, and check the NTFS rights, you can see that there are some groups, Active Directory groups, which has access to it. repo reader contains all domain computers. Repo writer contains MGM, server, account, and domain admins. So all domain computers can now read this module, content of this module, so they can download it to themselves. Now, when we limit that this module should be copied just to admin PC2, and we refresh the DFS and this computer, we will see that in DFS, when I check NTFS writes again, I can clearly see that repo reader group was removed, and just computer account of the admin PC2 was added and has read access to this folder. And the second thing, on this admin PC1, PowerShell module was deleted. So it will be distributed just to admin PC2, and from all others computers where it could be copied earlier, it will be deleted. But just in the case it was copied by this synchronization script. Okay, and when we decide to just delete this module completely, and from the clients as well, it's as easy as, as delete from our repository, commit this commit this change, and again refresh the data. This should lead to two things. One would be that the module will be deleted from the DFS share, and of course it will be deleted from the clients as well. Now we will look at the custom section. So, content of this folder. As I said earlier, this section is used for distributing the content to selected clients, to whichever location, local or shared one. So we will now use it for distribution of PowerShell script and creation of scheduled tasks that will run the script on some chosen computer. Okay, so I will use this PowerShell script. You have to place all content in folders here. Files in the root of custom section will be ignored. So I will create a new folder. and place the script here. I will check the content of the script. The script will use get logged user function we created earlier to output locally logged users to some log file. So it's dump function, but as an example it will be okay. As you can see in a script, I can use function which is not defined here, and also I don't have to specify import of scripts script module where the function will be located on that client. So it's very easy to use. Okay, so I created this script, and the second thing I have to do is to tell this repository where it should be copied. Again, there is custom config file, which is intended exactly for this purpose, to define what should happen to folders inside the custom section. There is some explanation of how it works, and there are keys that can be used to configure the behavior of that folder. Again, there is folder name, which is mandatory and contains the name of the folder it defines. Computer name that define where the folder should be copied. Custom destination and TFS, so you can limit who will be able to read the data on that computer. Custom source and TFS, which can limit who will be able to read the data on the DFS share. Custom local destination, which can be used to customize where the folder will be copied. Default path is this one. So see Windows scripts folder, which will be automatically created on every client, and the custom section folder will be downloaded here. But with this key, you can change this behavior and copy it to whichever location you want. For example, this one. Custom share destination can be used to customize to copy the content not to clients but to some share path, some share destination. As I can see, I have a wrong example here. I have to fix it. Copy just content is just a switch that tells the repository to copy not just the whole content, not the whole folder, but just content of it. Schedule task can be used to automatically create a schedule task on that computer from XML definition, which has to be named exactly the same as the schedule task defined here. So if I use this example, I define schedule task key and give it two schedule tasks name, which will be created, and in the root of the custom folder have to be these two XML files with the same names that will be used to create the schedule task. There are some examples. So for now, we will distribute our folder audit logged users with the PS1 to our admin PC2 computer. So I will use this as okay, so I will define folder name, audit logged users, and the computer name will be, again, I can use a variable from variables module, but I will hard code it admin PC2. Okay. So I will commit these two changed files. Now, when I switch to admin PC2, I can check see Windows scripts, and you can see there is nothing special here except this file, but ignore it for now. So now I will run. Okay, I will show you another thing. As you can see, now I'm 8 commits behind in this console. So I will run refresh. This will update this console content, and also it will copy the audit logged users folder with the script here. As you can see, it automatically created a log subfolder where the authenticated users have full access to it. So when your scripts create some output, always place it here, because if you place it in the root of that folder, the whole folder will be deleted, because I use robocopy sync, which compares sizes and last write time stamps, and it will detect change, so it will replace it automatically. So output of your scripts always place to log subfolder, which will be automatically created. Okay. So now I have this script here, but I'm missing the last piece, which is creation of scheduled task. So I need the XML definition of the task. So I will create the task manually. I will name it same, so it will be easily searchable. I will run it under system account. It will trigger every 10 minutes, and definitely an action will be running this script. Okay. Now I try to run this newly created schedule task, so I can check that it's working. And check the log folder where the function should export the data, and as you can see, it really did. So it's working. Okay, so now I export this schedule task, and I can delete it safely. I will take this XML definition to admin PC1, or I don't care, I can commit it from here. So here on admin PC2, I'm logged as the same user, but to the Visual Studio Code and to the repository, I'm logged as another user. As you can see, I have the same repository open in this editor, and I am 10 commits behind. So I will click on this icon, and new content will be downloaded, will be pulled to this local copy of repository. And now I will take this XML file and add it to this custom section, to this audit logged users folder. As you can see, here it is. But that's not all I have to do. I have to edit custom config, so the appropriate schedule task will be automatically created from this XML definition on computer where this folder will be distributed. So I will use this key and place the exact name of the XML file. Okay, save, commit both changes, I can check that the schedule task isn't here. Now I will refresh this computer's data. So this should lead to automatic creation of the schedule task from the XML definition I gave it to it. So I refresh the schedule task, and as you can see, the schedule task is here. Author is the name of the PowerShell script which made the synchronization of repository data, which is this one. In 10 minutes, this task should be automatically run and export the information to the log folder as we see earlier. Okay, but what about if I want to change the computer where this auditing is run? It's as easy as changing computer name key value. So again, I can use hard-coded names, or I can make LDAP search, so I can dynamically get computers from some organization unit or whatever. I will use hard-coded. Option. Okay, so I will, or no, we will distribute it just to admin PC1. So I'm migrating this service, or as you want to call it, to another server, because this one I will decommission later or something like that. Okay, so I will commit this change. And now when I refresh this computer's data, the schedule task and the folder should be removed. So as you can see, schedule task is gone, and when I check see Windows scripts folder, the folder is also gone. When I look back to admin PC1 and check scripts folder here, the folder isn't here yet, but it's because the synchronization wasn't started. So I can force it now. And the folder is here with the log subfolder, and of course schedule task is also created, so it's working as we expected. If I want to cancel the distribution of this folder and remove the appropriate schedule task, all I have to do is just switch to custom config and delete computer name key, or just delete the whole object, as custom object that defines this folder. It doesn't matter. As you can see, here is the change, that waiting change that I created on admin PC2, so I can synchronize it here, and as you can see, it changes, it edit this creation of schedule task. Now we can try to distribute some admin tools to some shared destination. Again, I have these examples. I have this folder with some PS tools. I can take it, place it to custom, so you can see I can distribute exe files too. So I will create new object that defines behavior of this add and tools folder, and I want it. I don't want to distribute it on some computers, but instead I want to distribute it to some share. So I will use this key and give it path like this. So I will check that this share path is empty right now, and it is. So this should lead to a situation where this folder will be copied to this share destination. Okay, so I will add all these appropriate files to staging area. commit the change. And start the synchronization on MGM server, which will lead to that the task repo sync, which is run here, will copy the ADN tools to that the FS share which I specified. So the MGM server computer account has write access, has to have write access to that share path, so it can be be able to copy that content there. Okay, so I will check the tools, and as we can see, it doesn't work. So what we have to do, we have to grant access for this MGM server account to this share. The share is located on the same server, but it doesn't matter. So it's this one. So I will add this MGM server, which name is quite strange for you, but yeah, this one. Okay, so this is the computer account of this MGM server, and I will grant him change permission on this share, and try to refresh. Try to fill the DFS share again. Now, as you can see, it was successfully compiled, so I can verify it from the client as well. So on this DFS share, the ADN tools are compiled, was compiled successfully. In case I delete some of the tools or add some new, the change will be also propagated. So don't worry. As we've seen before, every domain computer has read access to whole DFS repository content. So in some cases, we want to limit this access to just selected computers or accounts in general. In case you distribute some modules to just some computers, we already saw that the NTFS rights were modified accordingly, but you can customize it even more. So how? We can, for example, I will create some new folder in my custom section, and sorry, these virtuals are quite slow. I will create a new folder, private, which can contain some private functions. So I will just copy there some files. It doesn't matter. Okay. So I have these files in private folder. Now there can be a situation when I don't want to copy this folder anywhere, but I want it to just have it in the DFS repository, so I can browse it and read its content, execute in my scripts or whatever. So in this situation, I want to I can use this key, custom source and TFS, and this will lead to situation when just domain admins will have read access to this private folder, which will be placed in TFS and not copied anywhere else. So I will stage these changes. Copy it. And again, refresh the environment. And now when I check the DFS repository custom section, I should see this private folder. And when I check the NTFS rights, I can see that just repo writer has full access, which it has always, so we can change the content. And domain admins has read access. And the last thing I want to show you from the custom section will be distribution of just folder content to some local directory. So let's say we have some IIS configuration file which you want to copy to IIS root, but just this file, not the entire folder. So I have this file, and I will in custom config I will create a new object that define this folder. I will define the switch, so just content of the folder will be copied, and I will copy it to admin PC1, and I of course have to customize the destination path. So it's this one. Okay, so this key lets you specify some custom path where you want to place the content. Okay, I will save it. I will commit this change. again refresh. Okay. As you can see, I have this newly created date modified, says it was really newly created folder in a pub, in it www root, and this webconfig file is compiled here. If I have another content here, it won't be replaced. So don't worry, you can use it without any worries. So this was distribution of just content. That's all. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy this solution and find it useful for yourself. Bye.